My Discord, I deactivated. I don't use it that much anymore. I'm actually like munching on my dinner, which is why like you couldn't hear me. Yeah, I don't know what happened. All of a sudden I woke up and I'd be like, wait, why is people DMing me? And turns out, um, wait, then who messaged me yesterday then? That was me. That was me before I deactivate my Discord. Um, I had to transfer ownership. I have to transfer ownerships first of my servers. I do have a few servers that I hold on to as the owner. Hence why it took me some time to actually transfer the ownership due to the fact that I do not get people answering my messages. Yeah. Hold on. I'm actually like having dinner right now, but I want to check Pokopia. I did not turn on Pokopia today. I want to get this game. I want to get Persona 3 Reload very, very much. Yeah, good morning, Sonic. It's not on sale. It was on sale though a few days ago, but I did not want to buy it. So yeah, it is an unfortunate thing, the shit that happened to my Discord, but just to be safe, I'm gonna leave it disabled to a few days maybe. I'm gonna leave it disabled. I mean, I do have some friends that doesn't have Discord. I mean, that doesn't have like any other means to message me, like Twitter and Facebook and whatnot. Let me know when you get your 2FA. Here's the thing though, my 2 verification stuff is still active. My Google Authenticator is still active, so I don't know what happened. How? I don't know what happened. How did that happen? Obviously, I need to reset my... They got your token from somewhere. Gosh. Asshole ass move. Usually your token resets after... Yeah, I need to reset my password as well. I know. Ooh, Gyarados. Yeah. I'm gonna reset it, but I'm gonna give it a few days. Also, like, why... Okay, I'm just gonna check Pokopia real quick though. Because I haven't finished eating my dinner. Here's proof of me haven't finished my dinner. I only managed to eat half of it. As usual, hackers are assholes at the end of the day. Yeah, I don't know what happened. I haven't used Discord on my laptop for quite some time. It just happens. What the hell? I was gonna message you on Steam about it since I literally had no other way to contacting you, but I realized that you were probably out cold sleeping due to time zones. Yes. Yes. I woke up to a barrage of messages and DMs on not just Discord but also on WhatsApp. They were like, Mimi, wake up! Your Discord got hacked. And one of my friend, he was being very funny. He asked the hacker, "Oh, did you get the money out? Oh my god, you're rich!" When I saw that, I was like, what the fuck? Wait, is that Raichu on sale? Holy fuck, that Raichu's on sale! No fucking way! This is sick! Alright, I'm gonna leave my character at Rocky Ridges. Because right now I'm doing this stupid thing, which is I'm trying to remove as much ash as I can on Rocky Ridges. I'm not entirely sure whether that's a good idea or not. I don't think so. Also, I got a little bit too addicted to Persona 3 Reload, unfortunately. I even downloaded Persona 5 on my iPhone. But I just started the game, so not sure whether it's going to be as good as Persona 3 or no. I'm not entirely sure. Hey, don't laugh at me. Alright, so can you see all these black stuff? These are the ashes that I was talking about. So there's gazillions of them. You're one of us, don't worry. Which is why I'm still trying to find what is it? I'm still trying to find Persona 3 Reload Nintendo Switch 2 version, but it's just that the ones that I can find are pretty expensive. I couldn't stay playing the gacha game, but the intro of it was pretty cool. Yeah, right now they have the Persona 3 Reload what is it? The thingy. Stupid hackers. Yeah. I've disabled my Discord, by the way. So there is no other way for Discord people to contact me, unfortunately. It is what it is. I haven't used Discord on my laptop like in gazillion ass years. I don't remember when was the last time. You know, if I open up Discord right now, I think it's going to ask for an update. Seriously, I haven't opened up Discord to my laptop for quite some time. So I don't know how and what even happened. What the hell? It's like the third time they tried the Mr. Beast Twitter crypto scam. Ew. I love one of my friends' reaction, you know? It's so stupid. His reaction is like the best one, in my opinion. You know, if I have that much money, I wouldn't bitch about my job right now. And also, I wouldn't bitch about how expensive is Persona 3 Reload. want Persona 3. Oh, jeez, man. Well, at least they hacked something like, what is it? Like my Discord only. If they hack something like my PayPal, I would fucking cry, you know? I have money in there. Like, I didn't take it out just yet. Dun, 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 dun. Also, I may sound a little bit toned down, like my voice and everything, my audio and everything. Is due to the fact that my brother is home. I can't be loud. Okay, there we go. Damn that song. Alright, let's go over there. I wanna get Persona 3 and then I wanna stream it. Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. The day you do is the day I lock hard on your stream. It's so expensive though, like I wanna get the game card, you know, the for Switch 2. At least like you know, if for example I need money and I need to resell it, it would, you know, it would cost something. But it's just that I don't want to buy on Steam. Damn it, I really want to play it. I had so much fun with the fucking demo, you know. I downloaded the demo because I was like, oh, it got demo. Yeah, I better download it. That's what I think. Turns out I enjoyed it a bit too much. Now I understand why people keep saying, oh my god, Persona is so cool, Persona is so good, you know. It's not just the song. It's not just the song, it's also the gameplay. I understand now. Persona story and the OST, man, they don't miss. Okay, so I want to ask you, which Persona is your favorite? This is Persona 2, 3. I mean 3, 4, 5, right? I never. I did. I need to play like 4, 4 and 5. Like currently, right now, I have 5 on my phone, but I'm not entirely sure whether the storyline is gonna be the same as what is it? Persona 4 Royale? Is it? And then there's gonna be like Persona 4 Revival, right? Number 1 is Persona 3 Reload. Yes! I see a lot of people keep saying that Persona 3 is their favorite, and I do not blame them. Seriously, I do not blame them. The protagonist, oh my god, and also the storyline, oh my god. I know I spoiled myself with the story. You know, I spoiled myself the ending, okay? The ending of how Persona 3 is, okay? And I fucking cried, you know? But here's the thing though, I did not spoil myself with the story in the middle part. Oh wait. Forgot to Saki. Saki. Persona 3 Reload is the most emotional one. I see. They should do something like that again. Like Persona 3-ish. When I play Persona 4 Revival though, that when that released, it might overtake something. Persona 5 Royal, Persona 4 Gold. Gosh. I really want Persona 3 Reload. It's so hard to find the physical version. I tried like the secondhand stores. You know, I even searched for secondhand. You know, if people are selling it secondhand, there's no one selling it. Legit, there's no one. Like I thought I would get it cheaper secondhand, but there's no one selling it. I'm just so fucking sad. I want to play it. Earlier, like when I went to the supermarket, I put on the song Memories of You. Kimi no Kyoku. God. At first, I thought he went to sleep, but it turns out he was passing away, and I'm like, fuck. Fuck, that hurt so bad. Oh my god, it hurt so fucking bad. I really like the protagonist. Gosh. The hurt. Fuck. Oh, it hurt my nose. I really want that game. He's literally aura farming the character in Reload. You know what? I don't blame him. The fact that you got a fucking gun-looking evoker is so cool. When was I already aware about Persona games? I don't remember actually. I think it was before COVID. Before COVID, I think it was the time when Sword and Shield? No, I think it was Yeah, I think it was somewhere around after the release of Sword and Shield. I found out about Persona. Is this due to the fact that one of my friend really likes this one song from Persona 4, and I was like, oh, that's a great song. What song is it? Oh, it's a Persona song. And I'm like, oh, Persona song. What's Persona? Oh, it's a game. Oh, it's a game. Okay. Wait, hold on. Let me check. And hold on. Persona 4. It was this song. In Persona 5, you could actually fight the protagonist as a bonus battle in the Velvet Room. No way! Which one? Persona 5 Royale? Or is it the mobile game? God, when I heard this song, I was like, damn. Royal, okay. I need the 4 and the 5 game now, huh? Persona 5 and Persona 4. I'm gonna get 2, 3, 4, and 5. I promise you that. I will get the game. When I heard this song, I was like, wow, this is such an amazing song. I like the piano. I wait for revival for 4. Yeah. Obviously, I'm gonna wait for revival as well. Even my friends told me that, Mimi, revivals. They announced revival. And I'm like, okay, cool. I opened up my WhatsApp group of friends, and the first thing I saw was plap, 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 and I'm like, what the fuck? Plap, plap, plap. Oh my god. I'm gonna open up eShop again one more time later. Crazy, yeah. It's so random. I was like, wait, why are they talking about flap, flap, flap? Why are they flapping? Why are they flapping? It's not clapping, but flapping. At first they were clapping, and then all of a sudden it just becomes flap, 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 and I'm like, what the fuck? Oh. Anything with Lotus Juice on the track is Persona 3. Anything with Lin is Persona 5. Anything with Shihoko is Persona 4 when it comes to OST. To be honest with you, I really like Lotus Juice. Some of Lotus Juice song is, it hits really, really good. Why Persona songs so good? Lotus is the GOAT. Yeah, Lotus is the GOAT. Like for real, he's the GOAT. Disturbing the peace. Look into your eyes. Don't tell me the things too blabbing about behind my back. I feel like it's going down now is the song that kind of pushed me into what is it? The Persona 3 fandom. Don't be surprised if I start reading fan fictions about Persona 3 just because I'm coping so hard. The main protagonist. Fuck. It hurts so bad. But I do not ship anyone. I do not ship anyone in the game. That's all I'm gonna say. Oh shit, what the f- It's enough. Oh wait, there's a little bit more. I'm gonna... Ah, okay. There we go. Alright, I'm gonna watch the Persona 3 YouTube. I'm coping really hard right now. I can't, man. I know I shouldn't spoil myself of the ending of Persona 3 Reload, but it's just that I want the game so bad. I want the game so fucking bad. Oh, that explains why. Hold on, I'm trying to remember. Nah, never mind. I don't wanna. This is so cute. I mean, look at Mewtwo and Mew. Just don't watch any more spoilers, okay? Before Persona 3 Reload release, they let us pre-install non-spoiler music of the OST into our Spotify playlist. So when the game released, I forgot. So I was wondering where the entire bank of music just came into my main playlist. Oh, hold on. Let me open up eShop real quick. Persona 3 Reload, Persona 4. Persona 4 And it's not Persona 4 Golden. What is this? What is this Persona 5? Ah, okay. Oh, what the fuck was that? Persona 3 Reload. Persona 5 Series Bundle Joker Challenge Pack. So it always Smash. Okay, hold on. Let me put 4. I want to see what comes out. Wait. Aw. I wanted to see the revival one, to be honest. I think that's the real-time strategy game. Just in case I'm gonna put it into my wish list. I thought you can what is it? Put that. Ah yeah, there it is. Okay, Persona 5 Royale. Persona 5 Tactica. I want the game. I want the game. I want the game. Also, what is this? Persona 5S Persona Strikes. What is this? Why does this look so normal? What is this? Strikers you're supposed to play after P5. Oh, really? You know, when I see the word Persona Strikers, I thought they're gonna be footballers or something. That was my first expectation. That's what I thought at first. Oh gosh. Alright, I wanna open up YouTube. I'm gonna continue watching Persona 3 stuff. Just to make myself feel better, I think. I hope. I don't know. I was watching this one actually, which is hijacking the camera in Persona 3 Reload.
And now. Oh, hello. I'm Ebenezer Scrooge, and I've been getting no sleep since these freaking ghosts have been haunting my old ass. But I've been hearing rumors around the town square of a sleeping mask that not only completely blocks out light, but it can help me drown out these awful ghosts too with calming white noise. The Manta Sleep Mask, the world's comfiest blackout sleep mask. It's made from soft...
What the hell?
Currently playing is Detonator, a troubling trend for a Dutch. A movie about two men that are either about to fight or kiss each other. There's also Friday and a Certain Day. Currently playing is Detonator, a troubling trend for a Dutch. A movie about two men that are either about to fight or kiss each other. There's also Friday and a Certain Day. Fans of a Dutch soccer team. Americans heading off to war are facing. Man, that is quite a subtitle. But if you're in the mood for something more lighthearted, there's always The More Than Dreamin'. Look at that, not even an apostrophe after the end. What absolute savages. Tatsumi Port Mall, every day. Enjoy! When we first see Chidori at Port Island Station, I always wondered what she was drawing. So let's take a look. Huh. It's Junpei, which is definitely weird because they haven't met yet. And if we move the camera to Junpei's point of view, he could definitely see that she's drawing him. So I guess Chidori's just like kind of a creepy stalker, right? So presumably to save on resources, the inside of the movie theater and the lobby are crammed together in the same area. Take a look at all these creepy floating NPCs. Throughout the game, you may have noticed that the NPCs closest to the camera have the most detail, which makes sense. But it's just weird when you see them so close to each other. Like, these guys are pretty detailed, especially this guy who works for sports. This woman behind him is looking pretty stylish. I swear this is something my wife would wear. But then when we see the row of NPCs directly behind her, we can see just how dramatically simplified they are. This dude doesn't even have a face. I mean, just look at him trying to grab his invisible wiener. They couldn't even bother rendering a low-poly wiener for him to be holding? Let's explore the back alley in Port Island Station. There's a ton of little details here that we really don't get to see up close, like this janky-ass looking cat, or this crow that's drinking a can of espresso. I feel like this would make a good coffee mascot. This lot, I'm pretty sure, was where Ken's house was before it got demolished. It's a hugely important story location, and of course, you can't normally see it at all in the normal game. Persona 3 raises a lot of questions about the nature of the soul, what makes some religious figures more real than others, and tons of other thought-provoking topics. But for me, I just wanted to know if Mitsuru's dad actually lost his eye, or if he was just a big fat faker. So when we zoom...
This one is called Depression Mix. Oh my god. Oh my god. I don't know what Persona 3 Reload video I'm gonna watch after this one. What is this? A very brief 4 hour? A very brief 4 hour Persona deep dive? What is this actually? Like, why is it 4 hours? I completely understand though. I don't know about this ship, to be honest. Like maybe because I haven't watched. I only watched the beginning of the game because I played the demo, and I watched the ending of the game. So I don't know what the fuck happened in the middle. All of a sudden, like, I don't know who the fuck Chidori is. Ages DLC. Good. Oh my goodness. Will Yuki Makoto will ever be freed? Huh. Wait. Did I watch this? But I stopped in the middle? I think that's good enough for now.
In, we discover that this lying son of a bitch has 2 perfectly functioning eyes.
Like son of
hey,
a bitch.
This guy's a phony. A big fat phony. The beach at Yakushima Island was actually the one place I was most interested in moving the camera around, considering it's a one-time location and the opposite of the city vibes that you spend most of the game in. When we zoom way out, we see there's actually quite a lot of island and ocean created, way more than they needed to make. A lot of the background details in Persona 3 Reload are kinda badly designed. I mean, with a fixed camera angle, the game only shows you what it wants you to see, so it makes sense not to put a lot of detail into little things the player won't see up close, but sometimes it could just be a little ridiculous. Like, look at this shit-ass, Metal Mario-ass looking waterfall. I know it's way off in the background where the player won't be able to see it up close, but come on. This is a PlayStation 5 game. Inexcusable. You make me sick, weird chrome waterfall. When trying to read the sign, I stumbled across Igus, who is just chilling here during the beach segments, creepily waiting behind the sign and staring blankly at nothing. Actually, you know what? Go watch my Tales of Symphonia iceberg after this. You'll discover that characters peeping behind
After
trees
the game, there's an
is apparently a
expansion that
long-standing
continues the
tradition
game
in
as well, but I wouldn't
RPGs.
look too much
Above the
into it
forest
till you
is the
complete the
shadow
game
map
first.
texture that I'm assuming is being used to artificially cast shadows underneath it, creating a tree canopy effect in lieu of actually having the trees casting shadows. Which is a smart and resource-saving way to do it, but of course, it really breaks the immersion when we see it for ourselves. I thought these shadows were real, but they were just a fucking lie! The Hanged Man is one of the most freaky designed creatures in Persona 3, so I thought I'd take a closer look at him. And unfortunately for me, I saw something that will forever haunt me. I mean, when does he ever open his mouth? Why is this thing here? On a brighter note, the shadow is what you'd call dummy thick.
Yeah, dummy thick.
Jin's persona has all the zodiac signs on it, something most people probably wouldn't have noticed from a distance. Here's a look at Takaya's gross, inside-out fetus persona. He's so nasty, he looks like one of the Venture Brothers clones. Considering the animations are all rendered on the spot, it's a shame P3 didn't do some sort of slow-mo effect like in Final Fantasy VII Remake. I mean, moving the camera around in battle just looks sick as hell. There definitely could have been something here. I mean, even like a photo mode or something would have been awesome. Here's the zoomed out perspective just to show how freaking big Satan is. If you ever wondered how Jin and Takaya survived jumping off the bridge, well, the answer is actually quite simple. They just magically levitated just out of sight until everyone left. One of the most shocking discoveries I found when hijacking the game's camera was related to the scene of Akutsuki's betrayal. After he shoots Mitsuru's dad, if we zoom in, we can discover that not only is he lying about losing his eye, but he is in fact still very much alive. Next, we'll explore the hotel the party stays at during the Kyoto trip. I always wondered what was outside this window, and as we could see, it's simply a peaceful little garden area. With chrome water again. Why does the water in this game look so bad, seriously? Mitsuru was genuinely shocked at Yukari's slap, as was all of us. I mean, her dad just died. Take it down a notch, Yukari, you heartless bitch. The hot spring was another area I knew I'd be interested in.
Why did she slap her? Why did she slap her? I was shocked. I was like, oh my god. I know this video has a lot of spoilers. But why the fuck did she slap her? Oh my god. I have to admit, it is funny. It is funny to watch this without understanding the context of the game. What the fuck is
Seen
happening?
from a different view. If we dip below the water, we could see a bunch of legs. Just a bunch of legs and butts. Just a bunch of legs and butts. When the girls arrive, they're standing in front of this locker room, which we never even get a glimpse of in the game, since the door is closed. Fascinatingly, this room is fully modeled, with custom floor tiling, mirrors, lockers, sinks, complimentary lotions and gels. Just imagine being the developer that worked on all of this, only to discover that there wouldn't even be an ounce of this shown in the game. Well, I see you, random developer who made all of this. I see you. Wait, I'm gonna do like a 007 James Bond between the legs kind of shot. Bang! I mentioned the water looking bad, which is maybe excusable because it's way off in the distance.
Anyone is an
But
illusion.
we routinely see cars up
Afraid your eyes
close
be me.
throughout the game, and they look like absolute dookie. These look like N64 models. I could literally design a better 3D car. Not trying to sound like a hater. I love this game still, but damn. One thing I found fascinating is that during in-game cutscenes, the in-game camera works like a real camera, with adjustable ISO and f-stop and all that. So accordingly, some scenes will have the f-stop at a low value, meaning you'll get this cool depth of field effect, which will adjust according to what it's focused on. Here's a better look at just how huge Nyx is. And finally, here's a better look at Egg Nyx, and the inside of the moon. Well, that about wraps up everything I wanted to show you today. Go watch my full Persona 3 retrospective, buy this shirt, and get a good night's rest with Mana Sleep. And have a...
By the way, that shirt is fire. I'm gonna say this. That shirt is hella fire. I kinda want one.
When I first started Persona 3, I really didn't know a thing about the series.
Yep, I don't know a single thing about the series as well. Also, by the way, I just finished downloaded the Persona movie. All 4 of the Persona movie. For our YouTube essay. Oh, my nose hurts. This video?
I was made aware of the franchise when 5 came out, and the only thing I could gather from that game is that it was super popular and that the main character is a Batman villain. But I am a lover of strategic RPGs and corny anime tropes, so this should be up my alley, right? If you're watching this video and haven't played a Persona game before, you're in good company. This isn't exactly the easiest franchise to jump into, and I'll get into the why of that later. But I
am like looking at this. All right, never mind. I'm too lazy to do that. So I'm just gonna click that and scroll. Persona Fusion, Battle System, the Emperor and the Emperor's Shadow, Tartarus. Every single time when I see the word Tartarus, I wanted to say tartar sauce. Tartar sauce, tartar sauce, tartar sauce, tartar sauce, tartar sauce. Memento Mori, Ryoji, the Kyoto trip. I think that's actually a joke made in the game. Oh wait, it really is? Tartar sauce, tartar. No, because it like seriously, if you're Japanese, every single time when you wanted to say tartaros, tartaros, like they're gonna be like tartaros. So it's kind of like tartar sauce. Tartar sauce, tartar. Oh, Makoto takes a nap. Makoto takes a nap. Yeah, I'm not gonna watch this one. Too lazy.
Had they been in the same situation. But with how modern Persona is designed with social links and the power of bonds as the main
Why I avoid prime rib at most restaurant? Oh yeah, I kind of want to know why. Oh look, the savior analysis. Wow, okay, I want to watch that.
None of them would have awakened to the universe arcana. The reason this dichotomy between old Sona and newer Persona games is relevant is because the journey to truly defeat Nyx and Erebus would require essentially erasing the dark parts of mankind, which by Persona's own narrative is impossible. So surely that means it's impossible for Makoto to ever be freed from his duty as a door. Well, not exactly. The key point of Nyarlathotep, Nyx, and Erebus you need to keep in mind isn't that they come to be solely because the dark parts of humans exist in the first place, but because of their lack of acknowledgement that the issues exist at all. Think about it. During the final battle of the Answer, Cease themselves prove that it can be defeated if you go against the wishes of destruction while acknowledging the dark parts exist inside of you. It's why Erebus went against him in the first place. To add on to this, at the end of Eternal Punishment, right before they defeat Nyarlathotep, Baofu says, "You're too damn stubborn. There's no such thing as a human without shadows. We'll make you remember that your place is here. Just go to hell and be done with it." Which sums it up perfectly. You can get rid of the dark parts inside of yourself, but you can acknowledge them to become better and to prevent your cognition from becoming distorted. This is also why right before the final battle of Eternal Punishment, each party member has to face the dark part of their past.
I bumped my glasses into the microphone while I'm eating.
To add to the big picture. In Persona 1, it's represented by Maki's apathy and jealousy. In Persona 2, by the anger, vengeance, and ignorance of humanity. In Persona 3, by death and depression. In Persona 4, by anxiety and short-sightedness. And finally, in Persona 5, by regression and indolence. Of course, these aren't the only things the games touch on, but these are the basics of what each game is uniquely about. From this point onward though, we'll focus on Persona 3 and onward since this is about the Great Seal after all. So why exactly am I yapping your ears off about the themes of each game like this? Well, recall what Nyarlathotep was talking about and what Nyx represents. If the thing that keeps these beings alive in the Persona universe are the dark parts of humanity, then realistically speaking, there have already been strides made in freeing Makoto from the seal. At the end of each game, ranging from Persona 2 Eternal Punishment to Persona 5 Royal, people are given more hope in some aspect. As mentioned before, the Eternal Punishment crew represented the potential of mankind and in turn moved the hearts of the people. This is important because it means that even if people cannot see or remember the events that occurred during these games, it's still having an effect on them in some positive way. In Persona 3, more people learn to cope with the prospect of death or apathy. In Persona 4, people learn to strive for the truth and look deeper than the surface. And in Persona 5, people learn to live and think for themselves. All of these things should realistically result in people wishing for Nyx less and less. Are these subconscious feelings
I must
and
learn,
changes
but don't
within people
overdo too much
adequate enough
spoilers.
to
Okay.
dispel the existence of Erebus though? Well, to be honest, probably not. But this is where Persona 4 Arena comes into play. During the story of Persona 4 Arena, it's shown that Elizabeth abandoned her duty as a Velvet Room attendant to search for a way to free Makoto from the seal. In doing this, she eventually awakens to the full Arcana, and based off what we've seen from the full Arcana thus far, it's been a 100% success rate on achieving the ultimate goal. In Arena, Elizabeth kills Erebus every single time it returns, which is a massive power play, let me say that for sure, but as we know, that isn't going to do much in the long term. Basically, Elizabeth resolves to forge bonds of her own to somehow, some way, free Makoto from the seal and erase Erebus for good. The story path of Elizabeth in Arena is the last time this aspect of the story is touched on, but it's undeniable that they're setting something up to free Makoto. The main question at this point is whether Atlus themselves have an interest in continuing that storyline. Even though Persona 5 does play a role in the story to some degree, it's a little bit more detached from the previous games. This doesn't mean they can't or won't do something with the storyline though. If you want my personal theory, I think Persona 6 could be where they wrap everything back around to the Great Seal. There isn't any evidence for it, but just based on the Elizabeth ending in Persona 4 Arena, the Phantom Thieves changing the hearts of the masses, and each game giving hope or change to humanity, I don't think it's totally out of the question. I'm not totally sure how they would do it, since I'm obviously not a story writer, I just make YouTube videos. But if they wanted to go all out, they could do some crazy Avengers Endgame type shit where all the cast come together to somehow give hope to humanity. Y'all remember how at the end of Dragon Ball Z, everybody around the Earth gave power to Goku's Spirit Bomb so he could defeat Kid Buu? You know, the literal embodiment of evil? Just imagine that, but with Persona, bro. Erebus would get fucking smoked. That would be the most hype shit in the entire franchise. I'm an Aura and Hype Moments glazer, bro. I can't help it. Whether they bring all the cast together or not, I think this would be a natural way to up the stakes from Persona 5, since that kind of thing basically happens at the end of the game anyways, with everyone giving power to the Phantom Thieves to defeat Yaldabaoth. Now let me emphasize this point because I don't want what I'm saying to be misconstrued. Just because Erebus and the seal would be gone doesn't mean the entire world would become a utopian paradise. Remember, at the end of Eternal Punishment when they defeated Nyarlathotep, another being came to take its place. Basically, what this whole thing would result in is Makoto's seal being able to finally rest easily instead of being delegated to its seal and being violated by Erebus. He wouldn't come back to life or anything because that boy is dead. He is not coming back. He is a rotting corpse. Whether that sounds good or not is up to you, but that's what would occur. They could also go the JoJo's route and do a total universe reset, which I'm heavily opposed to, but that would also be an option. The reason I'm opposed to that is because it doesn't actually solve anything, so that would just be a cop-out to be honest. Not to mention the fact that all the characters we've grown to love across the entire franchise, spanning 30 years, would basically cease to exist, and that they've kinda already done that. So yeah, I really hope they don't do that. That would be the worst case scenario. Again, this section of the video is just theories and basically cope, but I do kinda hope they do something with it. Whether they do or not, I'm not that worried about it, because either way, the ending of Persona 3 is still great, but it would be cool to see everything come full circle just like it did in the old Sona timeline. And honestly, that's about all I gotta say regarding this topic. I could sit here all day spouting theories to y'all, but at the end of the day, it's up to Atlus and the writers on whether they want to continue the story or not. It is 100%
Continue the
possible
story,
for Makoto to be
please.
freed from the seal, but exactly how, we'll have to wait and see. Pretty short video today, I know, but considering most of my recent videos have been like 50 minutes, a nice palate cleanser was in order. If you enjoyed the video, please consider dropping a like and a sub. It helps the channel out a lot, and I'll give you a free cookie as always. Here you go, homie. Also, consider following me on Twitter. I've been more active on there, giving updates on recent videos and whatnot, so if you want to stay up to date with what I'm doing, that's the place to be. That's all I gotta say though. It's been your boy Yanari Gogeta, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out everybody, and have a great day.
What the frick? Is it the internet? The
This is why I don't order prime rib at most restaurants.
Okay.
And that reason is because most restaurants... Take this famous San Francisco restaurant, Original Joe's, for example. While their prime rib is a special menu item, it was quite stringy and tough to eat. Their silver fat strands...
I'm gonna say this right now. If you go to a restaurant that doesn't have the word in it, like for example, like House of Prime Rib, don't go.
that get stuck in your teeth, adding to an unpleasant experience. This is why I'll typically order a steak or try other dishes, and only get the prime rib if it's in the restaurant's name.
Yeah,
this is why
yes.
I don't order prime rib
Oh
at
my
most.
god. So stupid. So stupid. Very stupid. Oh my god, stupid. Who's the strongest Persona protagonist? Ooh, very interesting. Why you are not the protagonist? Interesting. Orpheus is the fool, Thanatos is death, the Messiah is judgment. Makoto died, he didn't, he fell asleep on the roof. Makoto died on the roof, he didn't, he fell, yeah. He fell asleep on the roof, the others brought him back to the dorm, and by the next morning he was gone, he died in his sleep. In dancing.
The Persona 3 protagonist, otherwise known as Makoto Yuki as I will call him in this video, is a fascinating character and is among a lot of people's favorite Persona characters list, and this is for a good reason. There's a lot more than meets the eye with him, and his character arc is one of the
Before the reloads release? Oh, okay.
best in the series in my opinion. In this video, I'll be going over his growth as a character and also giving additional context by going in detail about the mythology and reasoning of his personas as well. I would also like to mention that I'll be referring to both the movies and the game since I think they both do a good job of developing him as a character. I don't want to take any more of your time, so let's go ahead and get into the background of Makoto and learn more about him. Starting from the very beginning, Persona 3 setting is a place called Iwatodai City, and Makoto is an 11th grader transferring to a school called Gekkoukan High here. A decade prior to the start of the game, Makoto's parents passed away on Moonlight Bridge in Port Island, which led him to become apathetic about life. This event traumatized him, and from that point onward, he had little care about life or death. Ironically, this is beneficial in terms of his prowess in combat, but I'll get to that in due time. From that point forward, he had to bounce between schools and relatives, so he never had a chance to get comfortable or make solid connections. Not that he had much of a desire at this point anyways. In terms of personality, Makoto is a mostly careless and reserved individual, and gives off a cold demeanor. He doesn't make many choices on his own accord simply due to a lack of care or will. This doesn't mean he's completely heartless, however. He does have a care for others, just not for himself. Near the beginning of the first movie, Makoto as a child is described as always very polite to his neighbors and reportedly had a very good upbringing. And it also says that after the incident with his parents,
Wait just a minute. Eldest son? Eldest son? Does that mean like this dude have a little sister or something? Or like a little brother? Eldest son, implying that he got siblings. Wait, I need to Google this. What the fuck? Makoto Yuki. What? Does not have any biological siblings? Then what the fuck is that?
neighbors and reportedly had a very good upbringing. And it also says that after the incident with his parents, his personality completely changed, which would add more context to my previous statement. You can infer a decent amount from his character design alone. He covers his face with his dark hair, he has headphones in all the time, and he tends to walk with his hands in his pockets staring off into space or at the ground, and you'd be hard pressed to see him with anything more than a deadpan look on his face. A lot of these qualities exude a sense of solitude, and to an extent sorrow, which would be an accurate description of Makoto as a character at the beginning of the story. Now that we have a basic understanding of his backstory and what he's gone through, we can get into the main plot where things get interesting. Now, I'm not going to describe each and every single date in the game or anything, I'm just going to go over the important things for the sake of time, but the beginning is integral, so I'll be going over a lot here. Makoto on April 7th arrives in the city via train and makes his way to Iwatodai dorm, where he will be residing, and you immediately get a sense of how careless he truly is. All of a sudden the city is grim, there are caskets and blood surrounding him as he walks, and he doesn't bat an eye. This is known as the Dark Hour, but this is a foreign concept at this point in the story. As the player, we know something is wrong, and obviously Makoto sees what we are seeing since the story is told through his eyes, but there's no response. It's unsettling and it sets up the narrative well. Things don't get any less weird once he arrives at the dorm though, since there's a kid with pale skin and an outfit resembling a prisoner's uniform. We know this figure as Pharos, and he's deeply interconnected to Makoto's journey. His prisoner uniform is likely due to the fact that he's trapped within Makoto. Throughout the game we learn more about him and his connection to Makoto, and he is essentially death and exists to bring upon the fall. Pharos is trapped within him because of a fight between Death and Aigis a decade prior, and Aigis ends up sealing him within Makoto since she didn't have the power to defeat him. This was the cause of the death of Makoto's parents, but he wouldn't be aware of any of this until later in the story. He signs a contract at the request of Pharos, which states, "Time never waits. It delivers all equally to the same end. I hereby agree to the statement above, and I chooseth this fate of mine own free will." And boy, was that damn contract ever accurate. Anyway, Makoto signs it, and Pharos says to him,
確かに時はすべてのものに結末を運んでくる。たとえ耳と目を塞いでいてもね。
and with that, the journey begins. The very next day after school and meeting a fellow classmate named Junpei, Makoto goes to sleep and is introduced to the Velvet Room, Igor, and Elizabeth for the first time. His signing of the contract is granted him access, and this place allows him to make use of his soon-to-come power of Persona. On April 9th, Makoto walks home with Junpei, and in the movie he even helps out Fuka pick up her belongings after being picked on. The following night is where things get really interesting though. During the dark hours, shadows begin an attack on the dorm, and since Makoto bears the potential of the power of Persona, he's fully conscious and stable. We already know this because of the way he acted during the move-in though. Since shadows are attacking the dorm, Yukari and Makoto make an attempt to flee, and this demonstrates what I mentioned before about him not caring about life and death and not having a will. As they are fleeing, Yukari is panicking, but Makoto does not care about the situation at all. He even takes a minute to stop and take a look outside at the moon, and this leads to an important back and forth.
好きだ。
何やってるの？命かかってるんだよ。死にたいの？
どうでもいい。死ぬってそんなに怖いこと？
何？それ。
This difference between Makoto and Yukari is very important. Once they get to the roof, the shadows make their way to attack her, but she can't pull the trigger of her evoker because her fear of death holds back the resolve to pull the trigger and summon the persona. Now once Yukari gets attacked and is in danger, we get to see Makoto's true colors. For some context, the whole point of the Dark Hour is to attack humans and give them what is known as apathy syndrome in-game. It basically renders the subject unresponsive and vegetative because of the level of apathy it inflicts. So why do they not go after Makoto? Well, it's because he already doesn't care about life or death. He may not be exactly vegetative, but he shares the same lack of care for life and death as the victims of apathy syndrome at this point in the story, so they have no reason to go after him at this moment. But there's a key difference between Makoto and these victims. As said before, he may not care about himself, but he still has a moral compass and cares for others. When he sees Yukari struggling on the ground about to be killed by shadows, he's visibly distraught, which is the first time we see real emotion on his face, really. With the evoker Yukari failed to use at his feet, He, without hesitation and even a smile on his face, as well as a small push from Pharaohs, pulls the trigger and summons his new power.
So nah.
Once his persona, Orpheus, is summoned, the shadows change their attitude toward him and move into attack. He fights back and blows through his stamina in no time. Or Psyche in this case. But then something even more peculiar happens. The bizarre-looking persona with coffins and a sword tears Orpheus apart, and this persona defeats the shadow with little to no effort. This persona is of course Thanatos, and after defeating the shadow it transforms back to Orpheus, at which point Makoto passes out from exhaustion. Now there's a lot I want to explain, so let's start with the backstory of Orpheus in mythology. Orpheus is a very popular figure in Greek mythology with the ability to charm all living things and stones through the power of music, and he plays this music with a lyre. The design of Orpheus in Persona 3 has a lyre for this reason, and is referred to as the Master of Strings. His face also mimics that of Makoto 1-to-1 as well. His power to charm all things is representative of Makoto's power to forge social links with his fellow classmates and various adults throughout the city. Despite being a reserved person, he manages to change the trajectory of many people's lives, and alongside the power of the wild card, it strengthens him and his ability. There are a few stories regarding Orpheus, but I'm going to go over just a couple. The first one is regarding his adventures as an Argonaut in the story Argonautica written by Apollonius Rhodius. I hope that's how you pronounce that anyway. During this adventure, Orpheus and the other Argonauts are on an adventure to retrieve the Golden Fleece, and without him, the journey never could have been accomplished.
60 FPS?
The journey itself isn't the main focus at this point, but what is important is that along the way, the crew came across sirens, which are figures that sing beautiful songs that send sailors to their imminent doom. Orpheus, with the power of his lyre, was able to drown out the music with his own, which saved everyone. This is demonstrated countless times throughout the game. Due to Makoto's power of the wild card, he is a powerful ally, and is able to save his friends several times over, and even the whole world with power that no one can match, and this will be elaborated on several times moving forward. The other important story is the death of his wife Eurydice, and his journey to the underworld to save her. Eurydice on their wedding day died after falling into a pit of snakes, and once Orpheus discovered her body, he played the story as the death of his wife Eurydice, and his journey to the underworld to save her. Eurydice
When you're done, Dick, would I ask you to take the trash out?
on their wedding day died after falling into a pit of snakes. And once Orpheus discovered her body, he played sad and mournful songs on his lyre that made even gods cry. Not too long after, Orpheus traveled to the underworld in an attempt to save her. The chances of him ever returning were an all-time low, but returning with his wife was an even more unlikely task. Despite this, he pushed forward anyway, and once he reached Hades and Persephone, the king and queen of the underworld respectively, he played music so beautiful it softened even their hearts. Orpheus in Persona 3 is a persona belonging to the Full Arcana, and the Full Arcana represents the beginning and end of a journey as well as limitless potential. This represents Orpheus's resolve to go upon the expedition to the underworld for Eurydice despite the odds he was up against, which is also representative of Makoto's journey at large. Surprisingly, they allowed Eurydice and Orpheus to return to the overworld under the condition that Orpheus could not look back for her until they returned. All went well, but as soon as he stepped foot into the overworld, he looked back at Eurydice, not realizing she had not stepped across the boundary yet, and this caused her to disappear forever. In regards to Makoto, I like to think of this part of the legend as being representative of the tragic passing of his parents. There are a few legends that describe his death, but the one I'll state here is regarding his death at the hands of Dionysus Maenades. In the later years of his life, due to what he saw in the underworld, he began to detest the gods bar Apollo who gave him his lyre. One morning, he traveled to the top of a mountain to pray to Apollo, but once he reached the top, he was torn apart by the Maenades for not worshipping him. Okay, so we got some information about Orpheus and Makoto, but it really begs the question, what's the significance of Thanatos appearing and tearing Orpheus to shreds? Why did this happen? Well, that leads me to my next point. As mentioned before, Pharos, who is sealed inside of Makoto, is essentially death incarnate. And just what is Thanatos in Greek mythology? The personification of death. So Makoto's two main personas at this point are very different from each other. Even after Pharos is separated from Makoto in the form of Ryoji and Nyx, he retains Thanatos within his repertoire. Thanatos is a guide of death and is the son of Nyx, who is the final boss of the game. Thanatos tearing Orpheus to shreds is akin to his actual death in mythology, where he was torn to shreds there as well for not worshipping and obeying Dionysus. And in the context of Persona 3, it could be seen as going against death in the fall from that point onward. That's how I like to view it anyway. Another interesting fact about Thanatos is that he was tricked by Sisyphus and shackled inside of Tartarus, which in Greek mythology is a deep dungeon of torment for the wicked and is a place for judgment after death. Tartarus is the main dungeon of the game, and Makoto alongside Cease make their way toward the top as the game progresses, ultimately leading them to the final encounter with Death or Nyx. As you can see, everything is very interconnected with each other, and if you are aware of the mythology of all these figures and locations, you can piece together a lot of things even this early on in the game. So now that we finally have a lot more context on Orpheus and Thanatos, we can return to the rooftop where Makoto passed out. Yeah, he's just been taking a nap while I rambled on, but don't worry. His passing out and depleted psyche does go back to something I wanted to talk about near the start, and that's the fact that his lack of self-preservation and care at the beginning is beneficial to him in combat. Since he doesn't fear death, he has no issues putting himself into these dangerous situations, and he also doesn't care to go all out and exert everything he has. Summoning a persona takes a lot of mental and physical energy, and despite that, he does it with prowess in no time. Also, due to his lack of care or will to make decisions for himself, anytime he's told to do something, he does it. When they ask him to join Cease and fight the shadows, he does it. He's asked to be the leader of the group because of his wildcard ability? Sure, no problem. Whether it be battle or mundane tasks, if he's told to do something, he's rushing in head first with no hesitation. This aspect of him is not all well though, obviously. It makes the members of the party worried, angry, and even jealous at times. The thing is, while Makoto does care for others, he doesn't understand a lot of things about people. He doesn't quite understand why people should care and why people may do the things they do or say the things they say. His understandings of things is to take the words and actions of people literally because he doesn't understand the complexity of human emotions and feelings at this point. In the movies, shortly after joining Cease, he has a conversation with Fuka, and this kind of represents what I'm talking about.
なんでどうでもよくない？どうでもいいって言われたろ。
だって友達だから。そのことを謝りたいのになかなか言い出せなくて、多分許してもらえないのが怖いんだと思う。
怖い？
怖いよ。大切な友達だもん。だからどうでもいいはずないの。
During this stage of the narrative, he doesn't understand what true bonds are, but it's still clear he's willing to put in some amount of effort to hear it out. By the time the next full moon operation comes around, where they must defeat shadows of certain arcana in an attempt to defeat the Dark Hour, you can already see his growth as a character a little bit. At the start of the operation, he's still just following orders, and he's even willing to let Junpei venture out on his own because he doesn't understand the complexity of his character. But when he sees him rush into danger, he has flashbacks to the incident with his parents. At this point, he does something completely out of character. He makes use of his power of the wild card and saves Junpei and says to him,
背中は預けた。かっこつけやがって。
at which point is his first glimpse of understanding bonds and friendship. And this power of friendship and camaraderie gives them the strength needed to defeat the shadow and stop the train from crashing. Because that was also going to happen, I should have mentioned that. Makoto rushing in blindly and doing something random in an attempt to stop the train is also yet another example of his fearlessness, but I don't think any more examples of that will be necessary at this point. I feel like we all get that. But what is important is that Yukari is still not completely satisfied with him, and that'll be important soon. From this point onward in the story, Makoto begins forging bonds with everyone in the school and around town. He can join clubs and do all kinds of things. And I'm not going to go over any of the social links, but just keep in mind that throughout the rest of the game, he is getting closer with people, and this is strengthening him and his power of the wild card as a result. After a little bit of time, Fuka, the girl Makoto has seen around and talked to a couple times at this point, has gone missing. They go in search of information about what happened, which leads them to the person that bullied her, Natsuki. Now, I'd like to mention that I'm basing this off the events that happened in the movie because I really like the way it's written and portrayed in that adaptation. In the meeting after the talk with Natsuki, they all come to an agreement to infiltrate Tartarus and save Fuka. But then there's an important thing Yukari says here.
安全を保証はできないが、それでも頼む。
わかりました。
本当に分かってるの？私は真田先輩みたいに立派な決意みたいなのないけど、それでも自分の力で助けられる人がいるなら助けたいって思う。山岸さんのことも助けてあげたい。 どうでもいいくせに頼まれたから戦うだけなら来ないで。そういうのすっごくイライラする。
わかった。
怖いの。このままじゃ結城くん自分では何も考えないまま戦って、それでいつか遠くへ行っちゃいそうで。
Now, was Yukari somewhat harsh with what she said? Of course she was, yeah. But was she wrong? No, not really. She had valid reasons for feeling the way she did. Makoto after that stays at the dorm and protects Natsuki, and at this point the most important moment in Makoto's character arc occurs. He tells Natsuki about the things Fuka had previously said about her, and it makes her regret the things she did. Makoto doesn't really do a good job at protecting her, and I guess you could say this is because he wasn't directly told to keep that close of an eye on her, so yeah. But what happens is that Pharos appears and gives Makoto the message that if he doesn't intervene and help his friends in Tartarus, they're all gonna die. Again, at the thought of his parents, he can't bear to see any more people in his life die in the same vein. Just like Orpheus from the mythology, he rushes right into the underworld to save the ones he holds dear despite the odds. And with the strength of will, the wild card, and his newfound resolve, he's able to make a difference in the tides of battle. Ultimately though, even he gets overpowered. Mitsuru and the others tell him to flee with Fuka and Natsuki, who is also in Tartarus at this moment, but he refuses. For the first time, he proves that he isn't devoid of life and will, and he finally takes his life into his own hands and does something not because he was told, but because it's what he believes is right. He doesn't fight because of a lack of self-preservation, he fights to save his friends. It may have taken drastic circumstances, but he now understands why people should care about others, and with this newly developed, perfect synergy between himself and his comrades, they're able to overthrow the shadows together and successfully complete the operation. Truly a worthy moment of the charming master of strings and his allies. Once they and Fuka return to school afterward, Natsuki comes to Fuka with a much more friendly attitude, showing she's even changed from how she acted before, and this draws out something crazy from Makoto. An actual smile. His growth from the start to now is amazing. He's still not perfect by any means, but he's beginning to understand things much better, and he's finding enjoyment and fulfillment out of his life for the first time in a decade. It's heartwarming to say the least. At this point, we're going to speed up a little bit in the video. As things progress from that point onward, they defeat more shadows, and eventually they go on a trip to the beach because every JRPG in anime has to have that. Makoto and everyone else hang out and have a good time, and this leads to a couple things. Yukari learns that allegedly her dad was to blame for the shadows, and she runs off during the dark hour alone, at which point Makoto follows her to be there for her. Although he was told to do so, I'd like to believe he probably would have gone anyway. The conversation they have is heartfelt. Yukari vents out her frustrations, and Makoto tries to comfort her in his own way.
竹場には意味なくても俺にはあったよ。竹場やみんなと一緒にいると飽きない。悪くないって思う。こういうの楽しいっていうのかな。
What he says is pretty interesting and something to keep in mind. Despite how awful the Dark Hour is and how they're trying to get rid of it, he has a fondness for it since it's what has gotten him to the point he's at now, which is a much better spot now that he has friends that he cares for. I can't even really blame him for it either, because if I were in his shoes, I'd probably feel the same way. And this looming feeling is something that will follow him as time progresses. Not too long after this conversation, shadows come and attack them, but they don't have their evokers on them, so they can't fight back. Aegis comes out of nowhere and takes out the threats with finesse, and says,
ようやく見つけた。あなたをずっと探していました。私の一番の大切はあなたのそばにいることであります。
which is pretty crazy considering she's the reason Makoto was there in the first place, since she, sealed death inside of him, but she has no memory of this at this point, and Makoto is none the wiser to it as well. It's just a wild thing to think about in retrospect, really, and it's just another example of everything tying together in the big picture. What I said just a minute ago about his feeling for the Dark Hour following him is already starting to show though. Once it's revealed there are allegedly only 6 more shadows for them to defeat to have the Dark Hour disappear, he's clearly dissatisfied and worried. He doesn't want the Dark Hour to end because he wants to have this bond and routine with the others to last forever. Ironically, his initial strength has now turned into a weakness. He can't bring himself to go all out against the shadows because he's afraid of it all being over. A lot of things happen from this point onward. They encounter a rival group of Persona users by the name of Strega, they defeat more of the shadows that will supposedly end the Dark Hour, and they enjoy their time together. Now let's fast forward to the date October 4th, which is yet another full moon. Again, the way this part of the story is told is much different in the game than it is the movie, but I do like the movie's way a bit better. What can I say, they did a good job of adapting the story. At this point, the brunt of Makoto's doubt is beginning to affect him more and more. So much so to the point that he can barely find the strength to summon his persona, and his allies are even starting to lose a little bit of faith, but they do still put their trust in him. As we're all probably aware, on October 4th, Shinjiro and Ken are having a not so pleasant meetup while the others are fighting the main shadows. In the game, Makoto and Cease fight them, and then afterward are made aware of what is about to occur. But in the movies, right as they begin fighting, they're all well aware of what's happening, but they can't do anything about it until they defeat the shadows. And they're no small threat. Everyone begins fighting desperately, but in the worst possible time, Makoto's resolve fails him. He hesitates to attack the Fortune persona, and only after a lot of pushing from Akihiko and Mitsuru is he able to force himself to get the job done. Immediately, they all rush to Ken and Shinji's location, where they find out they were too late. Shinji sacrificed himself to save Ken from Strega, and everyone collectively despairs. They may have been able to defeat the shadows, but there was a price to pay.
Damn!
Again, a lot of things happen after this. With the death of Shinji, the eventual betrayal of Cease chairman who sought to bring upon the fall, Pharaoh's disappearing, and the death of Mitsuru's father, Makoto regressed back to a shell of himself. He blames himself for a lot of what happened, and even though he still understands why to care for others, and he still does, his fear of losing the ones he loves makes him push himself away. This is a very common defense mechanism in people who have gone through painful times in their life, and Makoto has suffered a lot in a short and long span of time. They don't want to get hurt, so they feel it's easier to be alone than to risk that chance. Pharaoh even says that to him. What's ironic is that a new face named Ryoji, who of course is Pharaoh's, is the one who helped to drive Makoto out of this. Ryoji isn't aware of his true form and purpose quite yet, so as far as he and anyone else is concerned, he's just an upbeat and optimistic individual. He hangs out with and helps Makoto. They work together, help people around school, and just socialize together. Since Ryoji was inside of Makoto without knowing it, he understands him really well, and he feels a connection toward him, so he's able to ever so slightly chip through the wall he's built around himself. Once Makoto and everyone go on a school trip to Kyoto together, he's still got this wall around him, but it finally gets broken through here. During the night of the first day, Akihiko pulls Makoto to the side for a private chat, and he gives some words of wisdom that will help him see the truth.
守るべき大切なもののない一生に何の意味がある。確かに失うことは辛いさ。そんなこと俺だって分かってる。大切なものは失ってから大切だったと気づく。それでも大切なものが何もない空っぽな人間よりはずっといい。たとえ傷ついたとしてもな。
After he returns to the room,
Oh, hold on, I need to go to the bathroom real quick. Wrong one.
Junpei and Ryoji are as lively as ever in an attempt to get him into a better mood. Aigis busts into the room, and after some humorous back and forth between everyone, we get a nice sight. Makoto finally lets down this wall he's placed around himself and lets out a genuine laugh. The first one we see in the whole story. And they make many more great memories on their class trip as well. Well, mostly great memories, but you know, they can't all be winners. Once they return from Kyoto, it's revealed that Chidori has gone missing from the hospital that she's been staying at, and they've been keeping tabs on. So when the dark hour comes, they go look for her. Chidori attacks the group and says something important.
一番怖いのはそれは執着してしまうこと。執着すればなくすのが怖くない。物だって命だって何だって。なのに純平は私にいらない苦しみを持ってきた。
千鳥を失うのが、千鳥と一緒にいらなくなるのが何よりも怖いんだ。だからさ、だから一緒にいられるんじゃねえの。一人じゃ怖いから、なくさないように大事にできるんじゃねえの。
純平。
千鳥。そうか、そうだな。
Makoto, through these words in Chidori, sees himself through a mirror. That's exactly how he felt as well, and all of a sudden one of his biggest enemies doesn't seem so inhumane or bad anymore. Had things been different, it could have been Makoto on the opposite side of the coin in Chidori's position. Unfortunately, things do not end well as Junpei gets shot by Shrega and Chidori sacrifices her life to save Junpei. This awakens Junpei to a newfound power, and amidst all of this, Makoto has another internal dialogue that shows his overcoming of the fear of loss.
人は結局一人でしか生きていけない。違う。つながりなんて持たない方がいい。失った時に傷つくだけだから。違う。どんなに大切なものでも消えてしまえば何も残らない。だったら初めから何もいらない。違う。何も必要ない。違う。何も欲しくない。違う。俺はつながりから逃げたりしない。
After the last battle with Shrega, where Chidori sacrificed herself, Makoto accepts Ryoji's invitation of friendship, but unfortunately that very same night a tragic truth is revealed. As we know in retrospect, Ryoji is the appraiser of the fall. By defeating the shadows on the full moon nights, they have brought forth death in the fall. Even by pure concept, it's an unfathomable thing. So put yourself in the shoes of Makoto and seize. The exact thing you've been striving to go against has become reality because of you, and the chances of being able to defeat death itself are almost impossible, and all of them know this. Understandably, everyone in the entire group is scared. Knowing when you were going to die and having it be so soon is not a piece of knowledge anyone could take well, especially the fact that it was brought upon by yourself. Everyone handles it differently, but in general, everyone is making their final preparations before they go, or they're drowning in apathy. Makoto is not excluded from this, and since he has the choice to kill Ryoji and forget everything until the fall, he has a very important decision to make. Does he kill Ryoji, or does he face death to the end? The thought of throwing in the towel and killing him obviously creeps through his head more and more as he sees everyone he loves suffering. And hell, I can't even really blame him. This is essentially his biggest fear come to life, and it's going to take some time to find his resolve to overcome such a mental hurdle. C's have until New Year's Eve to make their final decision, and while everyone has their own way of making their decision, Makoto finds his by going back to where it all started. And from here, I'm going to let the man himself take it away.
10年前、あの事故があってから、俺は多分ちゃんと生きてなかった。だけどこの町に来て仲間と過ごして、そうして初めて俺は生きることを始められたんだと思う。
I just gotta say, Makoto's character arc is truly beautiful. It's hard to believe he went from someone who couldn't even begin to understand or imagine being close with people, from someone who couldn't care less about living or dying to what he is now, an irreplaceable friend that will fight to the very end to live and save everyone. It's poetic, and his character arc isn't even over yet. Once Ryoji comes on December 31st, everyone collectively agrees to let Ryoji live and fight death as hard as they can. When Makoto and him are in private, he tells him he's not going to kill him, and he's actually shocked at this. He may have his memories of what he is back, but that doesn't change the fact that he does still care for him. The memories they made together were real, and they both cherished him greatly. So he tries to convince him, but Makoto's mind is made up. He's going to fight to save the world and his friends. When they return to the others stating what choice Makoto made, Aigis desperately tries to kill Ryoji, and she does this because she doesn't want to see anyone suffer anymore. She runs out, and Makoto chases after her. Eventually they meet up on the Gekkokan High rooftop, at which point he consoles her, reaching things he never would have thought possible before.
私は感情のない機械ですから。
嘘だ。感情のない機械が怖いなんて感じるのか?
They realize that once they defeat Nyx, they're gonna forget everything about the Dark Hour, but Makoto with a stern determination states that they will regain their memories no matter what. A fitting speech from a charming leader. On the Judgment Day for the final battle against Nyx, everyone goes all out, no holds barred. They're all at max power and ready to fight to the very end. They make their way to the top of Tartarus and fight against Shreka and countless shadows, and in the movie, Makoto fights Nyx head on while everyone fends off the aforementioned foes. He makes use of the wild card to max effect in this battle, summoning personas of many different arcana and strength, but Nyx is just way too strong and overpowers him in no time. Despite that, Makoto continues to fight with stronger and stronger tenacity each time he falls. Eventually, Makoto summons the power of Thanatos, and this is the first time you see him since the very start of the story, the son of death rebelling against the father of death. Ironically, with the personification and guide of death in his hands, Makoto puts a real fight against Nyx and even impresses him. Even with this power though, Makoto is unable to defeat Nyx. The members of Cease defeat Shreka and reunite with Makoto at the top of Tartarus, but it's too late. The fall begins. Once this occurs, the end of the world is imminent. A powerful force takes the group off their feet, and countless shadows come rushing toward them. Defenseless, they all get overpowered, and in this moment, Makoto awakens to his ultimate power.
たどり着いてしまったんだね、君は。命の答えに。何者にも代え難いものを君は見つけた。自分のすべてを投げ打ってでも守りたいものを。答えにたどり着いた君は奇跡を手にする資格を得た。それはどんな不可能をも可能にする力だ。でも君は本当にそれでいいのかい？わかった。
By finding his answer to life and making the ultimate decision, he fuses his two main personas, Orpheus and Thanatos, to create his ultimate persona, the Messiah. By combining the Master of Strength's charming and beautiful power and the Son of Death into one, he has created the potential for a miracle to occur. Orpheus' bravery to travel into the underworld for the one he loved, his power to charm all things, and Thanatos' role as a god of death, a being that hated mortals and gods. Such differing powers, yet when put together, bring out an immeasurable potential. The Messiah is a savior or liberator of a group of people, and in many cases is the one that dies for the sake of others. Knowing this, it's clear to see where Makoto's heart leads him. The Messiah persona even resembles Makoto one-to-one just like Orpheus did. With this new power, Makoto throws away his evoker and makes his way to the top towards Nyx alone. He says one final thing before he heads off.
生きろ。生きろ。
生きなさい。
It's poetic that despite Aigis being the reason Makoto is where he is today, he doesn't harbor any ill will or disdain towards her. In fact, he wouldn't have it any other way. Aigis had a hard decision to make, and even though the decision resulted in a lot of sorrow for Makoto, it led him to meeting the ones he loves, and for their sake he's gonna make the ultimate sacrifice. Amazingly, he awakens to the power of the Universe Arcana. Makoto is the only character in the entire franchise to ever accomplish this feat, demonstrating just how powerful his resolve and strength were. As Makoto faces down Nyx by himself, he is far from being alone. No amount of force or resistance can hold him back. With the power of the universe arcana brought forth by the bonds he's forged thus far, and the ability to bring upon the ultimate end, or a new beginning, he fulfills his contract with no regrets.
Wait, hold on.
Upon the ultimate end, or a new beginning, he fulfills his contract with no regrets.
Great to see you.
After defeating Nyx, the rest of Cease are transported to a beautiful space, but Makoto's nowhere to be found. Everyone despairs for a moment at the thought of him being gone, but he does fulfill his promise to return. The dark hour ends, and just as they expected, they all lose their memories. Well, besides Makoto and Aigis anyway. They live their lives normally up to the promised day as if nothing had happened. Makoto, a couple days before the date that he agreed on, sees all of the ones he holds dear one last time. On March 5th, during the Gekkoukan graduation ceremony, he struggles to make his way to the rooftop, where Aigis is waiting for him. They have a beautiful conversation, and as Makoto begins to feel sleepy, he sees his friends for the final time, running toward him, happy, excited to see him, and calling out his name. With a smile on his face, knowing he's made the correct choice, he closes his eyes for the final time as a beautiful sun beams down on him. I mean, holy shit. No matter how many times I see that ending and no matter what adaptation it is, movie, game, manga, you name it, it hits me so hard I can't even begin to tell you. Makoto's death at the end is something I could not believe was happening as I beat the game for the first time. Going from not caring about life or death and having no connections to what he was at the end of the game is just a masterpiece, for lack of better words. Persona 3 may not be a perfect story in any of the adaptations, but tell me, what the hell is? The last thing I have to mention before we get into the summary is the answer. Although Makoto is dead and his character arc is over, it's revealed what really happened to him. During the final battle against Nyx, Makoto used his power to seal Nyx, and this required him to give up his soul to do so. You can see Makoto in the form of a stone statue holding the door that holds Nyx. This is his fate for the rest of eternity, yet despite that he had no—
Hold on, go back.
We get into the summary is the answer. Although Makoto is dead and his character arc is over, it's revealed what really happened to him. During the final battle against Nyx, Makoto used his power to seal Nyx, and this required him to give up his soul to do so. You can see Makoto in the form of a stone statue holding the door that holds Nyx. This is his fate for the rest of eternity, yet despite that he had no regrets about what he did. In fact, he never wanted to come back to life, knowing the consequences of what would happen as a result. He knows his friends will live fulfilling lives, so he had no problem making the decision. With Makoto's journey in life now complete, there's so much to think about once the game is over. What's my answer to life? What is the answer to life for the rest of Cease? What are the things in my life that I want to live for? All of these questions and more stem from the fact that no matter how you consume the story, the way Makoto is handled as a character plays the biggest role in delivering us to these said questions. And that's a sign he was pretty damn well written, I'd like to argue. The amount of care and thought that went into his design is amazing. The choice of Orpheus and Thanatos being his two personas, and the thought of those two unlikely pairings being the one to create the Messiah. I mean, come on, bro, that's just crazy in a great way. I can't say this game changed my life or anything, but I can say that it made me think about things in a bit of a different light after I had beaten it.
Yes.
I felt like I could appreciate a little bit more in my life, and I am thankful to this game and the Persona series at large for that. Again, I just want to emphasize his growth as a character one more time. He goes from having the personification of death inside of him, not caring for life or death, and having no true friends to evolving said personification of death to overthrow death itself for the sake of wanting to live and protect those he cares for. Like, seriously, it's just insane how far he came as a person. For all the ups and downs he had, he found his answer to life and gave up his life for it. It's truly superb, and it's a character arc that's sure to hit hard every time. For all the times Makoto fell, he got back up, and that's a real inspiration. Enough about my opinion though. I want to know what you all think. What do you think about Persona 3, Makoto, and life? Did you like the game? Did you enjoy Makoto as the protagonist? Did this game change your outlook on life at all? I want to get real deep in the comments, and I want to hear what you have to say. So I'm going to reply to every single comment on
Suing
this
is what?
deep in the comments, and I want to hear what you have to say.
Suing is my life.
So I'm going to reply to every single comment on this video. With all of this said, you have to say. So I'm going to reply to every single
Wow, our character's pretty fast.
comment on this video. With all of this said, Makoto is a goated character and I love him. And I also love y'all. If you
What in the fucking moonwalk was that? Was that actually really a moonwalk?
Makoto is a goated character and I love him. And I also
It
love
is.
y'all. If you feel generous today, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe. But don't feel forced to do so. I appreciate you all either way. My name is Yandere Gogeta, and I will see y'all in the next video. Peace out and have a great day.
Alright boys, time for some hot takes. The Persona protagonists are some of the coolest characters in Persona, which is weird since normally a self-insert character is about as interesting as a piece of sliced bread. But nah, these protagonists not only have a ridiculous amount of style and charisma, but they're also stupidly strong. They're written to be ridiculously powerful in their own ways, and they have such a massive gap between them and the rest of the party that you would think that this is Gojo versus Sukuna all over again. So just for fun, how about we redo that video I made a year ago, but flipped with far more research. Instead of figuring out who's the weakest protagonist, let's put these powerhouses up against each other and figure out who's the strongest Persona protagonist. Here's the goal, I'm going to rank all the protagonists, or at least the mainline ones, from weakest to strongest, using their feats, or at least the feats that I personally know of, like that one time that Aegis threw a massive ass tank, and hey, who knows? Maybe my opinion this time is completely different than the opinion I had last year. Also, keep in mind that a lot of these protagonists are very close to each other in terms of power. For me, it's displays of that power that puts one protagonist above a different one, and spoiler warning. But with that being said, when it comes to the weakest protagonist, in my opinion, I'm sorry, y'all gonna hate me for this, but it's still Joker from Persona 5. Joker does still have some things going for him though, like being incredibly agile in his games. He's able to scale buildings quickly with his grappling hook, and can easily move from hiding spots and attack enemies in an instant, moving like he's some Assassin's Creed character. He's also incredibly durable, being able to hold off Demiurge or Yadaboth with just one other party member, and that's no small feat either. While Demiurge in Strikers is not the actual Yalda, but a false version, she was still able to warp reality, and had the ability to have reality merge with the metaverse, and Joker was able to hold back this reality warping false god with just one other party member. Keep in mind though that, at least in my opinion, without the other party members putting in the work that they did, Joker wouldn't be able to win this fight solo. He still needed his team at the end of the day, but it's still impressive. The problem, however, is that somebody at Atlas has a fetish for embarrassing Joker. Despite all the experience that Joker currently has as a Phantom Thief, he gets caught off guard far too quickly and constantly gets defeated. For example, despite him having beaten a false god in the base version of Persona 5, he proceeds to get completely caught off guard, then captured by a rope, gets stepped on by Alice like some Twitch simp despite retaining all the experience he had previously, and he got defeated by Maria in Persona 5 Tactica, then had a choker tossed on his neck, and bro got dragged across the road and got finished by her own all-out attack. They don't respect bro at all. But his worst anti-feat, at least in my opinion, that places him at rock bottom, is his fight against Wander. Now Persona 5 The Phantom X is still an ongoing game, so we don't know all the context surrounding this fight, but in the opening of Persona 5X, the game starts with an inexperienced Joker who's at Sei's palace halfway through the game, and Joker has a run-in with Wander, who's another Persona protagonist, who's fairly relative to Joker in pretty much every way, but much less experienced than Joker is, at least as far as we know. Anyway, Wonder charges at Joker and they clash. They then proceed to go at it before Wonder uses his grappling hook to catch Joker off guard. And even with Joker coming back and using his persona, he eventually gets outsped with some Minato flash type of move and taken out by Wonder. Joker getting completely taken out by a far less version of himself, in my opinion, has him at the very bottom. Again, we don't fully know the circumstances of this battle yet, and for all we know, it could just be a dream. But pair this battle plus the battle against Yu, where Yu was able to catch Joker and stalemate him, and that goes to show that the other protagonists, who I'd say are much stronger than Wonder, can handle Joker just fine. And coming in our next spot, right above Joker, is Naoya from Persona 1. Unlike Joker, at least from what I've seen, Naoya doesn't have too much feats. However, he is still the leader of his own group, and he uses an actual SMG, not like any metaverse kind of stuff, a literal machine gun. And he even has his own third tier persona, kinda like Raoul or Messiah, which in this game is Vishnu. With that setup, he was able to take down a version of Maki that was able to warp reality, and in the bad ending permanently warp that reality. Really, if it wasn't for Joker getting destroyed every 2 minutes, Naoya would absolutely be at the lowest. But yeah, other than that, there's not really much else to say for my boy. He's not weak by any means. I mean, he is still a Persona protagonist, but he just never really got a chance to show up that power. But if he were to go up against Joker, even with the limited knowledge we have of him, I still believe he would fold Joker. So here comes an interesting one. Coming up next, we have Aigis from Persona 3. After the events of the main game that we'll get into later, Aigis began to slowly lose herself, losing her humanity and her ability to dream. But before that happened, she had a dream of a butterfly, awakening her potential and having her officially become a Persona protagonist. Aigis is an anti-shadow weapon, a robot that's specifically designed to destroy shadows, which leads to her having crazy strength and stamina, being able to wipe out groups of shadows on her own in the anime, and being able to completely lift and toss a full moon boss like she's the Hulk going on a rampage. So I know it's weird, with her being so powerful, it makes you think, why is she so low on the list? But her main problem is her strength and speed being tied to her Orgia mode. Orgia mode in itself is powerful, but it comes with extreme restrictions for how long she can use it. She basically only gets a few simple attacks in before it turns her into a whole vegetable for a minute. In fact, the downside to Orgia mode got so bad in Persona Q2 while she was facing literal random encounters, it deactivated after a few small attacks, and she had to be saved by Makoto. As well, in Persona 4 Arena Ultimax, despite it being her ultimate attack, taking the enemy out with her Orgia, she still has an overheat right after, and all of her feats really do come from Orgia mode. When it comes to her having the wild card herself, she doesn't really get the chance to show off just how powerful she's become. But could Aigis take on the other two protagonists here?
Yes.
I'd say yeah. We already know Joker is a fraud, and Aoya doesn't really have the feats to prove he'd be able to outlast Orgia, or take on an Aigis that doesn't even have Orgia mode active. But outside of that, Aigis gets swept by all the other protagonists here. Coming up next, we have Yu Narukami from Persona 4. In Persona 4, the investigation team works to figure out the killer behind a series of disturbing murders occurring in their town. As is the case with pretty much every Persona protagonist by this point, this eventually leads them into a run with Izanami, a Japanese god who has the power to warp reality and fuse the TV or shadow world with their real world. And Yu, through the understanding of his bonds, is able to take out Izanami with the power of Izanagi no Okami, a persona that he keeps pretty much in every other game that he's in. It's only in Persona Q and Persona Q2 where he gets forced back to base Izanagi, which leads me to believe that Yu, at least in my opinion, is one of the most experienced protagonists in the series. No matter where he's in, whether it's in the events of Persona 4, Persona 4 Arena, even the Blaze Blue games, he's always able to hold his own for his team. And again, back to that Persona Q point, we can't forget that he managed to sneak and completely surprise an alert Joker who was already being stealthy. Bruh, how does the protagonist from a game with 0 stealth surprise the protagonist who has been nothing but stealthy for their entire game? This isn't even to mention his greatest feat, at least in my opinion, that being able to defeat Margaret, but in a canonical way. See, Margaret decides to help him out in his time of crisis, and what better way to help a guy come to his senses than beat his ass like he stole something? So they clash. smash, and even though he's solo, his personas are able to contend with and even defeat Margaret. You know how strong you have to be to contend with Margaret, a Velvet Room attendant, and still be mentally nerfed at the same time? That's crazy work. That doesn't even mention him being able to take out and defeat 1000 Shadows in the Persona 4 Golden anime with a base level 1 Izanagi. Don't worry guys, it's very simple to explain. You see, his base Zio went through a Persona mutation and became the Morning Star, so we're all good there, you know, very normal Persona things. So with that being said, why isn't he placed much higher? Well, simply put, the rest of the protagonists on this list have either faced far fiercer foes, or have some disgustingly broken ability that sets them apart from the rest. And when it comes to a protagonist like Joker, without a shadow of a doubt, you'd be able to take him on, and probably take on other protagonists too, like Aegis. But the rest of the characters here, I'd say he loses to pretty badly, but who knows, maybe the remake will make him look far stronger. But as of this moment in time, I'd say nice in the middle is where he currently stands. Now we get into some juicy hot takes. So coming up next on my list is Maya from Persona 2 Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment. In both games, rumors are turning into reality because of Philemon. We're going Philemon, a god of the collective unconscious who has the power to warp reality and change timelines, and Gnarly Thothep, who is pretty much the exact same strength-wise. Anyway, these two deities test the resolve of a group of friends in Tomorrow City, and that group of friends, of course, is our main party. You know, Tatsuya, Maya, Lisa, Ekirichi, and so on, to see if humanity can grow and evolve to become better as a species. Of course, this goes horribly wrong, because Gnarly can do everything in his power to make sure the group fails. And Gnarly actually succeeds in this quest, making the group fail, leading to an eventual massive failure where the Earth is destroyed and they only leave a ruined Sumaru City behind. But Philemon offers the group a choice, a new timeline where the friends never met and completely forget the memories of one another, or they can continue to live in their destroyed Earth, which is riddled with demons for God knows how long, until they eventually, you know, die somehow. The friends ultimately all choose to forget, but one character didn't forget, who we'll get into later. But that character not forgetting leads us into Eternal Punishment, a sequel to Innocent Sin, this time starring Maya as the main character. With this timeline, the new timeline and the old timeline are slowly beginning to merge due to a paradox because of that one person forgetting to forget. And Gnarly being Gnarly decides to do a little bit of trolling, and this leads to Maya and a group of her friend, a detective, and some random hacker to figure out exactly what is going on and what that other timeline actually is. While Maya seems like a pretty much normal person on the outside, she's incredibly experienced with fighting demons, being able to take them out with specifically using longer range guns. As well, she's stealthy, quick-witted, and stupidly durable, being able to jump out of a moving blimp that's above skyscraper level and survive just fine. Also, this is just a random tidbit, I don't know where to put this, but Maya can also take on Philemon as a secret boss. Alongside being a reality warper and being able to warp timelines, he is one of the only bosses in the series, next to Elizabeth, that can tank a full-on Armageddon. And keep in mind that Philemon is the strongest Velvet Room resident. He's stronger than all the other residents, and Igor being his boss. Anyway, once he's hit with Armageddon, he then proceeds to crash out and retaliate with Armageddon of his own, instant killing the party. And I get it, it's dubious if this fight is canon or not, but it's just something to keep in mind when you think about how strong Maya is. But while Maya is still stupidly strong, the final three protagonists either have better feats than her, or some aggressive hacks that put them just barely over the edge above her. But in terms of Maya versus the other protagonists here, I'm sure Maya could handle all of them relatively easily, except for you, who would give her a bit more of a mild challenge compared to someone like Joker or Aegis, who I'm sure would get washed immediately. Despite Joker being so stealthy, if you and Wanda was able to catch him off guard and outspeed him, Maya should have no problems in that regard. And with her being incredibly durable and her persona being able to enhance her strength, which we'll get more into later, she should be able to take on Aegis and outlast Orogia mode for just long enough to take her out. You would definitely be her best challenge, but I say taking on someone like Philemon and beating him, remember who could warp timelines, is far more threatening than someone like you. But while Maya is still incredibly strong, the other protagonists here have just the edge above her. And here comes the main controversial take. Coming in our next spot are two characters, Makoto Yuki and Kantone Shimone Femsi, you know who I mean, who's pretty much the same character. Makoto Yuki is the leader of a group called Seas, a group that's specifically tasked with scaling Tartarus and taking out shadows, or more specifically, full moon shadows. Makoto was chosen to be the leader specifically because he had zero fear when he awakened for the first time, and in my opinion, he's the most adaptable protagonist by far. No matter what you toss at him, not only will he find a way to do it, but he'll find a way to excel at it, while still keeping that chill, dread-head activity. But what makes him so strong, or what's his biggest feat? In my opinion, that is him straight up soloing Nyx in the anime. See, the anime takes a bit of a different approach when compared to the game. While the rest of the stop shadows below, Makoto alone goes up to take on the Nyx avatar, who mind you usually needs a whole team to take her on. Reminder that Nyx is not only just as strong as every single full moon boss up to this point, but is pretty much able to use all of their powers, then combining all of those powers in the death phase. So the fact that Makoto was able to take out Nyx despite being as strong as every single full moon shadow just shows a ridiculous level of strength. And bro was still using base Orpheus by this point too. I don't know what it is, man. Leave it to Persona protagonists to always bring their level 1 persona to the final boss and still carry with it. But Makoto genuinely might be the only protagonist who was able to solo the final boss alone. And just based off of that, we already know every single protagonist on this list would get absolutely washed by him. While Maya would still give him a run for his money, I believe she would get overpowered eventually. And this alone, the feat of just beating Nyx by himself, would qualify him as the strongest. However, there's one last character that I haven't mentioned yet, and you probably already know who it is if you've seen my last video about this. But to answer the question, who's the strongest Persona protagonist? In my opinion, that is Tatsuo Sou from Persona 2, or Tatsuya Sou, you know what I mean. But let me explain. As we went over before, Philemon offers the friend group of Tatsuya, Akirichi, Lisa, and Jun a chance to create a new timeline, where the friends never met and completely forgot the memory of one another. But one character didn't forget, and that character is Tatsuya Sou, who's the main character of Innocent Sin. Somehow Tatsuya was strong enough to resist Philemon's timeline edit and keep his memory. Then his goal becomes to fix what he deems to be his mistake, that being to finish Nyarlathotep once and for all. And while he was already strong in Innocent Sin, but Tatsuya's strength becomes ridiculous in Eternal Punishment. With strengthened stats from his persona, he's able to rip steel doors off a blimp, then jump off that blimp completely fine. As well, Tatsuya on his own was just soloing enemies and bosses. And Tatsuya's scenario, which is pretty much just extra DLC for the PSP version of the game, but anyway, it pointed out that he was going on a warpath with a wooden sword. Remember, this isn't Persona 5 where a toy gun gets turned into an actual gun with cognition. Bro was just slaying high level demons with a base wood sword. However, if you know Tatsuya, you know there's one thing we have to get into to determine just how strong he actually is. And everyone knows that's his Dio level time stop. Now on the surface, you will think this time stop is just a move or an effect, you know, just to look cool, like hey, this protagonist can stop time with this one move. But no, after doing research for this video, I figured out that Eternal Punishment's DLC scenario actually confirms that he can willingly stop time whenever he feels like it. When he was confronted by a member of the police force Shiratori, she had him cornered, pinned against the wall, with her gun drawn on him, pretty much attempting to interrogate him. But of course, Tatsuya seeing an opportunity, an aura opportunity.
I need to wake up at 5 in the morning. Let's fucking go.